A new Battlestar Galactica show was first announced in 2019. And that was when NBC was setting up the new streaming service, Peacock. And that was one of the new special programs that they had in store that they teased for the new streaming service. We've heard some snippets of information here and there, but it's been desolate when it comes to updates regarding that. So let me pull this up. So this is from the showrunner, Sam Esmail. Well, he was on the red carpet promoting his new movie, I guess, the Leave the World Behind. It's probably looks like a thriller movie. And this article is from Deadline, who's reporting this. And the title is Sam Esmail talks Rami Malek, who he worked with on Mr. Robot, and the Obamas and Battlestar Galactica on the Leave the World Behind red carpet.
Well, I can't speak to the movie version, but for the TV series, we are working on it. And in fact, I just read a great outline, and it's in great shape. And because the strike is over now, at least the WJ strike is over, we're back into developing it.
So that's good news. I just thought they abandoned it, because the last news that we heard of was that the writer of the show left to go pursue another project. I think it was another Margaret Atwood adaptation. So that's the last news we heard, which wasn't exactly good news, having their lead writer leave the project. And that happened in 2021, I believe, sometime. So it's been a while. And I wonder, I guess it just took them quite a while just to field out new writing talent. And then obviously other world events happened. And most recently, the writers and currently actors strike. But for this project, it's the writers that was, delaying the project. So now they're in full swing, but we haven't received news about who is the writer. He said he just read a script. Well, he just said, we are working on it, but I don't know who we is. We just know who's the showrunner, which is Esmail. He read a great outline, but we don't know whose it is. I guess that's the outline they're going with, or in the process of working with that particular outline, and that he said it's in great shape. So I just would like to know more news, I guess. At this point, I'm still cautiously optimistic, but I'm glad it's moving forward. But still, I have reservations until I know more about it. It's an awesome universe, and of course, welcome more additions to enrich the mythos to Battlestar. But I'm very curious as to what their approach will be. But yeah, excited to find out. The Stanleys, is this BSG a reboot or a spinoff? So there seems to be like a conflict in reporting. I saw another article that just said it was a reboot, and Esmail has said several times that this is not a reboot. Pretty early on, they established that it wasn't going to be a reboot. That was like the first thing Esmail really wanted to reassure people, that it wasn't a retelling of the same story. He wanted it to exist alongside this universe or the different productions of Battlestar. I'd say that's more akin to a spinoff in my mind. Whether it's a prequel or a sequel or wherever in there, I'd say from his comments, it's more like a spinoff. But I guess maybe not. Like a spinoff usually has elements, same characters or something that you would see from the main show. So I don't think it'll connect in that way. I don't know, like Stargate Atlantis would be like a spinoff of SG-1, but they still had those ties to each other. I'm not sure if they'll have those ties that is typical of a spinoff. So I think not knowing what to call it, it's a reboot, whatever. It's just a new show in this universe. Just so long as they don't change everything again, I'm in. Yeah, I don't know. Now for the Battlestar Galactica movie, I don't know what they're doing with that. They could do that same thing. They could retell it. And maybe it'll be more like in line with the original Battlestar Galactica. That could be really interesting. But I think they may connect in a way. I did mention that. I forgot. But yeah, there's definitely lots of room for them to explore, and I feel like fans would really respond to that. I think to have something add to the lore instead of just redoing what we've already seen and what we already like and love. I think the show would be better served, and the fans would be better served if they went a route that adds to this rich mythos, explores something we haven't seen before, while still keeping that same kind of classic elements that we enjoy about this universe, the man versus machine battles. Obviously, I think there should be epic space scenes, but also the cerebral approach, really examining the politics of the humans their social political landscape among them. I think those are like core elements that will make it within the same framework, but also leave room to explore new things, new storylines. Got to keep your hopes close to the chest until it's fully underway. Yeah, I learned that the hard way many times, more recently, yes, with Rings of Power. Now, this was Esmail's comments right when the series was first announced, and sci-fi.com has this article. The Sam Esmail provides update on his Battlestar Galactica revival for Peacock. And this was a quote that they included. So this was from a 2021 interview with Collider. Sam Esmail says, quote, "It's a big universe, it's a big world. I want to respect the Ronald Moore Battlestar. I spoke to him before I even took on the project to make sure that it's all kosher with him. But the last thing I want to do is step on his toes. And the one thing we both agreed on is that it won't be a reboot of what he did." So that kind of clarifies that. So if you still see the word reboot in other articles, this is from Sam Esmail himself confirming that it won't be a reboot of Ronald D. Moore's show. He continues saying, "It's still in the early phases of trying to figure out the world via the pilot. I think we've got the basic construction of the type of story we want to tell, the part of the mythology that we're going to explore, because Battlestar does have a rich mythology. Again, I have to give Ron a lot of credit for that, and so we're sort of closing in on what the pilot's going to look like." Of course, obviously this was back in 2021, and it was probably before the writer that they had brought on left the project. Michael Leslie left the project. So he probably had the concept still already in mind, and when he was fielding, I guess, writers to turn in scripts and see what worked for him. But at least that's some comfort for fans to know it's not going to rehash the same storyline, because it was very well done before, and I don't think they can do it again. No more angels / metaphysical stuff. That stuff always kind of lost me. With Sam Esmail, I feel like we're going to get probably, yes, the drama, but yeah, I wonder if he'll lean maybe less into the metaphysical stuff, as you say, because I think that kind of, some would say it went off the rails a little bit. I think it was interesting in that aspect, but I mean, that was a core element of that show. But I think it would be nice for them to kind of forge their own path in that sense. You know, if they decide to lean a little less from the mystique, but I think they could still have, like I said, those foundational elements, which religion was definitely part of it, of society, politics, of how they handled this fight for survival amidst this AI threat. I think those are the aspects that really are probably the most important. And yeah, I think they would really distinguish themselves if they did kind of lean less from that metaphysical aspect to it, the angels, but also it depends on what time frame that they're doing it in. I think most people would like to see the first Cylon War era around that time, because I think that's what intrigues people the most. It's also, there was Blood and Chrome, that web series. Probably a lot of people haven't seen that. Featured a young Adama, and it was 10 years into the first Cylon War, I believe. So there's still plenty around that time, too. I think it would be interesting if they picked up from Caprica, where Caprica left off. But probably, I don't know. Probably couldn't tie it directly to those events. Hard to call it Battlestar Galactica if the Galactica isn't in it. Yeah, that's one thing I have wondered about. I actually was wondering, what would they call it? Just Battlestar? Battlestar, I mean, you have to have Battlestar, but that implies, Battlestars imply war. So I hope they pay close attention to casting. For me, I love the universe, but the characters and cast made it for me. Oh, definitely. Yes. That's going to be something I'm obviously eager to learn more about. And of course, that's going to be a ways off, especially since the actors' strike doesn't seem to be reaching a resolution anytime in the near future. Ronald D. Moore's show. I love Adama, Roslyn. Hilo is one of my favorites. So many awesome actors, awesome performances, and also the classic one as well had some great performances in that. And I hope that they still would be respectful of that original Battlestar Galactica as well. The Reimagined series, they had that great opening. They're walking through, the Galactica's turning into a museum, and you see the classic First Cylon War era fighters and different pieces there reminiscent of the original show that they included. So I thought that was a cool way to incorporate that. So hopefully they do that as well, that they acknowledge that legacy of where it all started as well. They have weaving religion and sci-fi since the 50s. Yes. And it was very much a part of the original show as well, but I think very well done how they did it. It was well incorporated into the show. And I think same thing goes with Ronald D. Moore's as well. It's also an interesting element to add to this particular universe. I think it's a neat element among the traditional man versus machine storyline, that there's, it's another layer. And especially in Ronald D. Moore's take on it when it came to the Cylons and the Cylon religion. So that was a very interesting road to explore, very interesting storylines. Yeah, looking forward to hearing more about it. Obviously, all we can do is speculate at this point, and we'll see what happens in the coming months, I guess, as far as how far the production is going. So they've got still a lot of writing to go. So they're still in the very early stages of writing those concepts and those storylines and refining it. And then they have to get actors. So we'll see. This has already taken quite a while already since they announced it in 2019.